I am so excited for this Instagram Live. If you are a fan of the Bert Show, if you listen to the wildly popular radio show, then you too were extremely excited when you heard the news this week that Kristin Klingshirn was announcing her pregnancy. And I say this because for 3.5 years, this amazing, amazing woman has been sharing her battle with infertility. She has been so brutally honest and raw. We're all better for it, but more importantly, I get to welcome her in right now and congratulate her in person for something that we have all shared in her ups, downs. Hi.
Are you talking about me?
I love that big smile. I love that I get a chance to first and foremost send you a huge, massive congratulations and hug through this camera.
Thank you so much. I'm on cloud 9, and I have a feeling I'm going to be on cloud 9 for these 9 months. I'm just embracing everything right now. This has been a long journey, and I'm ecstatic to be here right now and to be able to have this conversation with you.
We're going to get to your journey, which is 3.5 years of IVF, struggling with infertility, ups, downs, like you could not believe. But before we get to that, I just want to share a really quick personal story for everybody that's watching. Kristin hosted a baby shower for our good friend Claire Wire. It was a little over 2 years ago, and I had known that you were going through infertility. I had known all that you were struggling with. And I watched you in that shower all day long, putting on the most beautiful, incredible, loving fest on our good friend. And I thought to myself, this woman is going to be the most incredible mother. Aww. Because you are selfless, you are loving, and you are caring of others. And it just said so much about you. And now we're all just so, I think that's why we're so invested, because we shared in this struggle with you when you listen to the Bert Show. But you have this wonderful gift of giving to others, and I know that you're going to be doing this for your baby. So I just wanted to share that for everybody watching, because I think it says so much about
Okay,
Kristin.
you can't do that to me, Lynn, because pregnancy hormones are real.
Well, I don't know what my excuse is, because it really moved me. But I also really just want to start with you and what this journey has been. For those that may not have followed it, and I know I say 3.5 years, but you can't even possibly articulate what that means.
Yeah, I mean, and we could be here. I mean, 3.5 years, and I recognize, because having talked about this and been transparent about this on the air, the outpouring that I've received, there are so many women and men who go through the same struggles, and we're talking about getting into double digits of years that they've tried to start a family and tried to have a baby. And so it's not lost on me that, 3.5 years, while yes, I'm not going to downplay that it was a long journey, I'm still grateful that we were able to get to this point in 3.5 years. So just in a nutshell, my husband and I got married April of 2017 and immediately started trying. And then of September of that year is when I got a phone call from my dad, and that he had lung cancer. So he immediately starts treatment. My husband and I try, and we tried for a year to no avail, and my dad's cancer was worsening. So we decided then to go to a fertility clinic, and it turned out my husband and I, let's just say I have some stellar eggs and he's got some stellar sperm, because we had a 3.5 chance of conceiving on our own. we were quite the pair, let me tell you. You have to have humor in this, Lynn. If there's
you do, it's all we got
to get through this. So, that was obviously sobering news. And after talking to our doctor, it was decided that instead of trying IUIs and some other, there's multiple options. We were like, let's go full throttle IVF. And we, a couple months later, started the IVF process. And unfortunately, my dad was placed on hospice. So we had to put a halt on, we had just done the egg retrieval, and we were in the process of doing genetic testing to see if we had a viable embryo. And that's when I got the phone call. So my dad had retired down to Orlando. I packed my bags. God bless the Bert Show and Bert. They totally got it. And I got a one-way ticket to Orlando, and I flew down there to be by my dad's side to help him through this transition. The day after I got down there, I got the phone call from the doctor that we had one viable embryo. The embryo was viable. And I do distinctly remember in the hospital room telling my dad, he was the first one to find out that we had a viable embryo. And then a couple of months later, my dad passed away, and I opted to take a year of healing just because my dad and I were extremely close, and I was a daddy's girl, and it was a very significant loss, as losing, you know, any parent. So I decided, it's when you're trying to conceive and the stress can, you know, stress does unimaginable things to the body. And I'm like, I really want to be in a good headspace, just mentally, physically, emotionally, if we're going to pursue this, because I got, you know, I wanted to give it all I have. So I went through that year first. And then late last year, my husband and I met up with the fertility doctor again, and we're like, all right, we're going to do the transfer of this viable embryo that we had. And it was March of this year that we did the transfer. And I got that phone call after I did the first blood test, that I was pregnant. But then 5 days later, they called and said my numbers had tanked, and it was actually a biochemical pregnancy. So the transfer had failed. So the bottom fell out all over again. And my husband and I took, again, some time to process, and he and I had a heart to heart of like, what's our, you know, what do we want to do? Do we want to go through this again? Do we want to do this again? And we're both fighters. And I was like, yeah, I want to be like, let's go for round 2. So we opted for round 2 and did the whole IVF process again. We did the egg retrieval July 4th. We had a different set of fireworks over here on July 4th. There was no hot dogs and no beer, but there was anesthesia and eggs.
Sounds so hot.
So we did that, and it was a bumpy road, to say the least. And just because of how my body reacted, I'm a low responder to fertility meds, it turns out. And so because my body responded, of the 6 that they got, only 2 fertilized. So we opted this time to do something different, and we did a fresh cycle. So 3 days after the egg retrieval, they popped the 2 embryos we got in, and here we are 16 weeks later, and I have my one baby that made it.
With your adorable little bump, which I love that you posted, because I know that you're probably just holding on to that bump every minute of every day. And I have to say, I posted this, and it was really important for me to make a note of that. This could be a trigger for a lot of people that are still going through it and are still in the struggle. Like Mayfield, who is watching right now, says she's watching from her NST test right now. Go mama. I know there are many people probably watching right now that are still living this struggle, don't have that joy yet. What advice do you have for them?
You have to feel everything. And I think there's a beautiful balance. There's a fine balance, because like there's healthy grief and unhealthy grief, but you do have to go through the process and you have to feel it. So when you have those lows, experience those lows, but you can't sit there and you can't wallow in it. I'm all about having a pity party, but at some point in time, you got to leave. Like, you got to leave the party, and you got to pick yourself up. And hopefully you are surrounded by people who love you, who care for you, who give you that support that you need. I think this is a perfect time for me to say, I have the most incredible husband. Like, I am just so fortunate that we are the perfect balance. And he keeps me calm. He keeps me in check. I'm up here, and he's very much down here in the middle. So we're good balance. And he's been my rock. So I can only hope that you have a rock in your life that you can lean on, and that it's okay. It's okay to say it sucks. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay not to be okay. If you want to stay in bed all day one day and cry, go for it. You've earned that. Now the next day, pull yourself out of that bed and go about your life and try to hold on to that hope. Because as somebody who has gone through this process twice, science and hope are all we have.
Yep. And I have someone chiming in here saying 5 years of trying, your hope for many of us. Another IVF mama saying she cried tears of joy for you, Kristin. You are a freaking warrior, she's saying. And I posted when you made the announcement, I posted this grit and determination will serve you so well in motherhood because you will call upon it so many times. And I can just imagine that moment that you found out, and then that moment you got to share it with others. I also listened to all of the different screams of your family members on the Bert Show. And so tell me what it was like for you, and then also just sharing it with your family that's held your hand through this along the way.
Yeah, my mom still might be crying. Granny was very, very emotional. So the pregnancy announcement, and what's one of my favorite quotes, Lynn, is you can't have a testimony until you've been tested. And I just feel like, having gone through this experience and being a part of the TTC club, the Trying to Conceive club, you don't get it until you go through it. It's just one of those, that's the nature of the beast. That's just how it is. So to have this sisterhood and brotherhood, because men go through it too. It's not all just about the women, even though we do take a brunt of it with those shots. There is this bond, and the outpouring of people who, I mean, out of the woodwork, how many women have experienced miscarriages and stillborns and are struggling with fertility, and, you know, hearing their stories. The pregnancy announcement, I embraced it, and to tell my Bert Show family and hear their reactions, because they had no idea, to like my mom to hug my belly and to say hi baby to the first time, to my girlfriends just losing their minds and screaming and crying. And it's the moment we've been waiting for 3.5 years. And I soaked in every single second of it. And I made sure to record every single reaction, because I'm like, we're never forgetting this. But after the fact, I distinctly remember for 3.5 years, I mean, and it's like, when you're going through infertility, it's like something's in the water. Everybody around you is getting pregnant. That's just how it is. And I remember those pregnancy announcements, and I remember being ecstatic for my friends, sincerely, so happy for them, so joyful for them, sincerely. But you still have that pang and that thought that pops into your head every single time, why can't that be me? And a really good friend told me that you can be happy for your friends while feeling sorry for yourself at the same time. Those are not mutually exclusive. They can coexist. So that's why it was really, really important for me to address the TTC club and community and the infertility community after that, because I wanted them to know I get it and it's okay. Like, I know you wish me well, and I know you feel sorry. Like, I know you feel bad, and it's okay. Like, you can feel all those things. And we just have to take care of ourselves, and we have to protect ourselves. I instituted, I called it my mental health shield to protect myself. And you have to do that, which is why I'm appreciative that you gave the trigger warning, because, you know, especially when you're in the thick of it, or if you've just experienced a loss, a miscarriage or a failed transfer, or you went through the egg retrieval and you didn't get an egg or a viable embryo, it's gutting. And I get it.
And you're still able to really connect to people and love on them regardless. And that's why I told that story about you, because I think it said so much about you. And I know though probably one person that you would love to tell, obviously, is your dad. But it was really incredible that there was a moment that you were able to share with him that still not replaces what you would have now, but I'm sure you call upon it.
I do, and I did. And I went back and forth because, you know, as I was going around to each family member, and my husband has a big family. His mom actually was just, she's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we didn't know how she was going to react to the news. But she totally got it, and she started to cry tears of joy. It was like, I mean, it exceeded every expectation. And so when it comes to my dad, who I affectionately call Pops, I'm super sentimental. And I think I get that from my mom. And I like to create memories, and I like to create moments. So when I got the news that we had that viable embryo a couple years ago, I made sure to record the audio of me in the hospital room with him, letting him know. And in true like doting father form, he was like, you know, congratulations. And then he's like, now do me a favor, take it easy and don't freak out, and everything's good, and don't stress yourself out. And that was just like quintessential Pops, just in that moment of that, you know, fatherly advice, which, you know, has stuck with me. And even though it doesn't matter, even though that transfer ultimately failed, we're still here. And in my heart, I know he knows he's going to be a grandpa.
And he's probably, those words are just reminding you to not worry and to just enjoy this. I imagine you probably think about that a lot too, right? Because I mean,
it's so crazy, like, because, you know, you would think after everything we've been through, and maybe that's another testament too of, you know, what you experience and what you're subjected to. You feel like a science project the entire time you're doing this. And and maybe my husband might have a different take on this, but I feel like I've been calm, cool, and collected. And this is just like, I take every day, I cherish every day. Like every day when I wake up, I'm not going to lie. I can't stop touching myself. I'm constantly touching my belly. Like if you just see me over here rubbing on myself, just don't pay any attention. And I'm really honestly just trying to embrace every day and every milestone every week. Like, you know, my husband and I have a ritual now. And so, because, you know, I have my app that lets me know what size fruit the baby is this week. So every day we hit that milestone, we're just like, high five. I'm like, 16 weeks.
Yep. And you'll keep on going, and avocado and papaya and all that stuff. You know, going through this in the middle of 2020, where most of us have been like slamming our head against the wall of like, when is this year going to end? Right. That's why I kept saying to you, you're the joyful news of 2020. Like that's what All Good Things is all about. What is that like to experience that in the middle of a pandemic and everything, all the stresses that you have that go along with it?
Yeah. So, you know, and again, we didn't come to this decision lightly, because obviously we know what's swirling around us. And when it comes to infertility, time is of the essence. It's just, again, that's just a fact. It's a scientific fact that time is of the essence. So when we decided to go ahead and go through with this and do a second round, it was intentional because of the timing and the odds we were up against. And I honestly felt after everything we had been through, nothing was going to faze us. And so to get to this point and dealing with the pandemic, like, you know, it's a bummer that Bart can't go with me, my husband, to my appointments, and I have to FaceTime him during the ultrasounds. And, you know, that world is a little different. But let me tell you, it was super easy to hide this thing because I mean, I'm working from home. I can't go out and drink. So there's nothing social. Like this was the easiest pregnancy to hide for 16 weeks. Oh my God. So from that aspect, and in the first trimester, you're so dang exhausted. You don't want to do anything, and nobody's asking me to do anything. And like work is like more chill. I don't have events to work on the weekends. It's actually been really nice, Lynn.
Hopefully nobody at the Bert Show is watching. I mean, I feel the same way when it comes to work. It's like, oh my gosh, you can do a live shot from your basement, and this is great.
I roll out of bed, I walk over to my desk, I pull up my laptop, I get my microphone, and we're all Zooming together. So all they see is this of me. They never saw my stomach or, you know, my boobs getting all big. I mean, they saw none of that. So it was perfect. And it was
so when you stood up and you had that cute little coming soon with the 2 footprints, your cast members, their mind was sort of blown.
Oh my God. So I knew, and the fact that our host Bert, like he clutched his non-existent pearls, which was like, I've never seen him do that before. Like he took a step back, and Cassie just starts crying, and Dobby's yelling, and Mo's screaming like I just scored a touchdown. I actually felt some sort of way keeping this from them so long, because you start to feel guilty. You start to feel bad after a while, and you just want to scream it from the rooftop. Like you just want to tell everybody. So to share that moment with them on the air, I've been doing radio for 17 years, and that is by far a personal and career highlight that I got to share that with them in that way. And they had such a beautiful reaction. It, again, it exceeded every expectation. They were awesome.
Bart, your husband, was hysterical in it. He had the line of the year when he delivered the news. Just tell folks what he said when.
Oh yeah, so I of course, because you know I'm a dork and I don't care. I got his shirts off Amazon, and I had coming soon and the little baby feet on my belly, and I got my husband a shirt that said "We're pregnant," mostly her, which he begrudgingly wore because he loved me. So he popped over, and he's one of those guys. He has that one line. He drops the mic. He's like, "Somebody get 2020 on the phone and tell him we're turning this bitch around."
That's right. That's right. You guys single-handedly did it for so many of us. I do want to talk about the husbands, though. You touched on it. Yeah. They're going through this struggle too, and at the same time, they have to be such a support system for their wife, and it's a really difficult balance. I mean, what advice do you have for the guys out there? What has Bart said really helped him and being able to be the support, but then also emotionally going through the losses as well?
Yeah, I mean, for any relationship, regardless of what you're going through, and this is like, I feel kind of trite to say, but communication is so key. So, and it's just understanding what your partner needs in that moment. And he knows, like, I don't need him to fix something because this isn't something that could be fixed. I just needed his presence. And, you know, there would be times when I would just, like I said, the shades would be drawn. I would be in bed. I would be crying. And he let me have my moments. And then it got to a point when the pep talk needed to happen. And he delivered it in such a way. And he just like grabbed my hand. And he's like, we're not going to be victims. Like, we're not going to, like, we're going to get through this. And there is a greater purpose, whatever that is, but we're going to do this. And it's just, you need to be each other's biggest cheerleader. And he's always been my biggest cheerleader. So it's, you know, it's stressful for the woman. It's stressful for the man. It's stressful for everybody involved. And I think patience, like, to be able, you know, you got to have patience with each other, just because the IVF takes a toll on you emotionally, mentally, physically. I mean, God bless him. When I did the first round, we did progesterone shots. And the second round, I did the progesterone gel, just because he hated giving me those shots. He felt so bad. And was, you know, that's obviously, he's a carpenter and he's a contractor. Like, that's not his bag, you know, like, he was totally out of his comfort zone. Aww. So he just, God, yeah. And man, he put up with my crazy, and I love him for it.
You know what? All of our husbands put up with our crazy, even when we're not pregnant.
Yeah. That is, oh yeah. Now I'm into the stage. I'm in the second trimester, and they say, like, you know, second is best for a majority of pregnancies. And I'm feeling it so far. Like, I got my energy back. I don't have any nausea anymore. But man, Lynn, let me tell you, sometimes I'll be sitting there and I just look at him and I go, I want to cry. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because I'm pregnant. I don't know. Like, there's no reason. I just want to cry. And he's like, okay, whatever. You want a brownie? Here you go. Oh.
Exactly. You just cry, eat brownies, do everything you want to do. You have been working 3.5 years to get to this point. You can pretty much do whatever it is that you want.
Thank you. I'm going to tell him you said that.
Yeah, please do. I'm sure he'll be calling me up being like, what? So many people, before I let you go, have been chiming in here in comments.
Yes.
And they are in the place of still waiting, whether it's 5 years. Some are saying, you know, trying to figure out whether the cost of IVF is something that they can do. Yeah. There's so many people that need a message of hope from someone like you. And I know you talked about advice from them, but I think really a message of hope it is even more useful. What would you say?
Oh, no pressure. And, you know, our circumstances, we recognize that we were fortunate to have the financial means to do this not once, but twice. It takes a financial toll on families too. I've gotten emails of couples who are like doing second mortgages on their homes so they could pursue their dream of, you know, having a baby. And, you know, my hope for you and in seeing my story and hearing my story is, even when you're at your lowest, I want you to believe that there is something greater out there for you, that this life is so incredibly short that we have to make the most of every single moment. And even all like the crap you've been through and the heartache you've been through and the sorrow you've been through, and it sounds weird to say it, there was some good that came out of it. Like even in my dad's passing, which, don't get me wrong, in a heartbeat, I would have him back on this earth. But I'm a different person now. Like there's Kristin before Dad died and there's Kristin after Dad died. And I'm a stronger person, and I believe I'm a person that is really, really focusing on what matters now. I used to be so consumed with like the minutia, but now it's really, I have my focus, and I can attribute that to him. And when it comes through going through IVF, and I'm gonna just call it what it is, going through this shitstorm, because that's what it was. My husband and I are closer, having gone through this together, and I feel like I'm a stronger person, and I feel honestly in my heart this is gonna make me a better mom. And I just want you to know every single thing that you're going through is preparing you to be the mother that you were supposed to be.
You're going to be an incredible mother, Kristin. And I know that so many people out there are sharing in your joy. Maybe they're sharing in your past sorrows, whatever it is. The most important thing is that message for people out there to know that it is just important to hold on to that hope, and it's for some purpose that we can't quite understand. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I wish there wasn't a global pandemic that I could give you a big, huge hug, but I am doing it through the camera, and please tell Bart the same. We're just so happy for you, and we're all going to be continuing to follow through with you.
Thank you. Oh, Lynn, somebody wants to say hi to you. Hold on one second. Okay. Oh, there it is.
I rubbed the belly.
Oh, it's there in all its glory, and I love it.
He or she is there and beautiful as ever. I am so happy you keep rubbing that belly. And thank you for sharing so much with all of us.
Thank you, Lynn. You were so sweet. It's been an honor to talk to you today. Keep putting good into the world.
That's what we all need to be doing. That's all we can do. Thanks, girl.
Bye.
Bye.